Hey there, this is Mr. Icarus, and welcome to yet another edition of Doom Mod Madness. This time round, we are checking out a gameplay mod by the name of Lieutenant Typhon. Who exactly is Lieutenant Typhon? Well, she is a brick shithouse of a woman that would snap you like a twig if you angered her, or were a demon, as it were. And all of these demons are about to feel her wrath, because Lieutenant Typhon also comes equipped with a fairly hefty arsenal of weaponry. As you can see, the shotgun does a fair job of not only shooting them, but also turning them into a jibby mess with the butt of the shotgun itself. The handgun isn't something to be sniffed at either, relatively quickly dispatching with lower grade enemies such as former humans and sergeants in 1 to 2 shots no less, and it just gets more hefty from here on in. I think the nutshell description of this could easily just be bigger and beefier. That is what you can easily apply to the vast majority of things that you'll be able to experience in Lieutenant Typhon, be it the weapons, the way the barrels explode, the fact that there's a power loader in the corner there, and that there's additional barrels that, if you shoot the right one, will produce a small BFG-esque nuke explosion, just eviscerating anyone nearby. The chain gun replacement here is supremely effective, both in its primary fire and its grenade launcher second, and the rocket launcher, although vine-encrusted as if it spent far too long in Plutonia, comes equipped with a secondary that also blasts out a few secondary fireballs on impact. But yes, I know you're all eager to hear about the power loader, so here I am, damn it. We're gonna punch a few monsters in the face with it. The nice thing about the power loader is it can also 100% shield you from any incoming projectiles or fire. So all you need to do is hold that block, and when you release it, it'll deliver a devastating punch into the mush of whoever happens to be nearest. To say that within a few minutes of picking this up, you will experience a level of visceral satisfaction that I don't think I've felt with the weapons/gameplay mod for a while is quite the understatement. And we haven't even gotten through most of the arsenal that's available here yet. Speaking of which, the weapon that I'm about to acquire here, I honestly did not know what to make of it when I first spotted it. It seems to have its own JoJo stand emanating from its weapon sprite before pickup, and on acquisition you learn that it's called the Ancient Revolver. What exactly does the Ancient Revolver do? It shreds. It absolutely frickin' shreds, and it has quite possibly one of the coolest impact sprites I've seen on a gun. It seems to be delivering this concussive spirit force on your enemies, which just rends them asunder, and I could happily just continue playing with this weapon alone for the entirety of this map set. But the nice thing about Lieutenant Typhon is that so many of the weapons in here are just legitimately fun to use, so you feel compelled to give them as much equal airtime as you can. You want to keep switching back to one versus the other because they all feel like they bring something a little different to the table. Lieutenant Typhon also plays host to a handful of melee moves, some of which cribbed from the likes of Fist of the North Star, especially this one that gives your enemy a few seconds to live before realizing that they are indeed already dead. You can flat out just throw dumbbells directly into the faces of your enemy. The dumbbell can actually be charged before throwing it, and the ult allows you to use the dumbbell for its usual purpose, which is pumping iron, which has the curious effect of increasing your armor, which is nice. Picking up the Berserker pack will infuse your fists with the power of a synthwave soundtrack, allowing you to fist your enemies in the face like they've never been fisted before. It will also allow your fist to reach quite high velocities, provided you hold down the punching button, and within short order you'll be punching like Star Platinum on a cocaine binge. Yet another thing you can do with your fists here is build up charge on your secondary by holding it down, which will then deliver a charged punch, quite literally, that essentially pops your enemies like a gore-filled balloon. It also includes a little bit of lunge range in there, and in concert with the sound effect on landing a successful blow, it just feels very, very satisfying to use. The hell's a gondola doing in my Doom? It's fine, he can stay. Also, he's wearing an adorable Doom Guy helmet. What the? Anyway, where was I? Ah yes, weapons. weapons. This is the plasma gun replacement, one of two actually, I believe. This has a secondary which does a powerful single shot, which also separates out into what I believe are mines. So if any further enemies hit the little orbs that emanate from the secondary fire, they take damage on those too, which is just kind of neat. Oh yeah, at some point I picked up an item that allows me to summon forth the power of an orbital cannon. When and how, I'm not entirely sure, but woo! So this right here is the FOG 25000, not to be confused with the BFG, even if it does share some very strong similarities, at least in the primary fire. The secondary is what you've really got to watch out for. You got to give yourself a little bit of distance, otherwise death. And you're probably wondering what FOG stands for. It stands for the fuck off gun. Who'da thunk? Fear not, however, the old BFG does indeed get a look in during the course of Lieutenant Typhon. However, it is a bit knackered in comparison to the FOG. Its primary fire acting more like a plasma chain gun than anything else, while its secondary acts like a plasma shotgun, which, if I'm going to be honest, is probably my preferred mode of the two, but even then it feels like a little redundant, let's say, in comparison to the pre-existing plasma gun. And then, yeah, there's the FOG, which pretty much eats cyber demons for breakfast. So all of those preceding weapons I was able to get a hold of during the course of a standard playthrough, but stuff like the Super Gore shotgun here was something that I had to kind of jimmy the scales in my own favor to find out about. I guess some of these turn up on a more randomized basis, but the Gore Super Shotgun, good grief, is this much more powerful in comparison to the standard, especially that secondary. Who would have thunk that chunks of flesh could be so effective? Another weapon I checked out during the course of mop-up duty with this mod was this absolute beast of a chain gun, which just looks and feels beefy in all the right ways. It is permanently spinning up, so you don't really need to deal with any pesky wind-up times. And it actually fires at a faster rate with no overheating if you just hold down the fire button, which is great. What makes it better? Dual wielding. Because now you've got double the DACA, double the fun, double the mincemeat generated whenever you aim at an enemy. And now for the weirdest looking weapon in this entire goddamn mod award, going to whatever the heck this is. I genuinely don't know the name of it. It's an arm that becomes part of your armory. You are armed with an arm. I get it. I don't get it. Either way, it's pretty friggin' cool. I love the creativity of the sprite, I love the firing animation, I love the sense of force it implies when it goes off, and the impact does share relation, as you may have already noticed, with the ancient revolver. So this is a much more powerful version of that, and if you stood a little too close, it does in fact harm you. So when using it, stand well back. No idea what that thing was. Moving on, you can also swiftly yeet a rocket, sans rocket launcher, directly into something's face, too. And yeah, that pretty much wraps all of them up. Good grief. I know I took a little bit of a meandering route through these weapons, but that's just how my brain operates. This is the other plasma gun I mentioned earlier, by the way. It's got a pretty powerful ult, but I don't know, is it too many plasma guns? One can never have too many plasma guns. In any case, this is the kind of mod that, for me, exemplifies the kind of fun and creativity that I personally am looking for when it comes to a weapon/gameplay mod. It's got its own personality, it's got its own spin on things that may or may not be familiar, and it's just got downright really nice work put into it. Sprite work, effect work, even the little tweaks to certain enemies, such as the Mancubus. Its fireballs don't just impact, they also send further fireballs flying outwards, making you a little bit more vulnerable if you stood in the area of impact, encouraging you to stay on the move. It's also a weapons mod that works quite well with this map pack in particular. In case you're wondering what I'm playing, it is Valiant, the Vaccinated Edition, which means it'll work with a variety of mods, and comes recommended as something that the author actually tested this weapons mod with. That author, of course, being none other than Skelegant. I've greatly enjoyed their work in the past, and I continue to enjoy it now. So yes, take that as a recommendation from yours truly. And if you find yourself interested, you'll find the link, as usual, in the description below. While I'm at it, I'd like to give a great big thank you to my wonderful patrons over on Patreon. Thank you so very much for supporting the channel and for helping to make content like this possible. If you're interested in lending a hand yourself, maybe you'd like to see your name in the credits, maybe you'd like to gain access to early editions of my videos before anyone else, well, if that's the case, you'll find the link to my Patreon page also in the description below. Hopefully you've enjoyed this mildly rambling video. Feel free to let me know what you thought in the comments, and feel free to suggest any mod you'd like to see me cover in future editions of Doom Mod Madness. This has been Mr. Icarus. Thank you very much for watching. Icarus out.